I welcome you all to this webinar today. And this is Tom Randall from GoldenCare. We've been doing this webinar series. This is our first one in our second batch of webinar series we've done for our Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative. But anyway, if you first time being on this call with us, it's been a pleasure. We've gone through, and I think, I forget the numbers now. I think we did like 35 webinars last group around. This time we have I think 48 webinars over the next month and a half that we're going to go in, and we'll show you some of that webinar schedule today as we go into this introduction about the Long-Term Care Awareness Month that we're talking about, which is the head of this webinar today. And it's kind of timely, obviously, because it is Long-Term Care Awareness Month coming up, and it's a big deal in our industry. And it's one of those things that when I talk about long-term care and everything, we know how important it is. And again, if you've been on this webinar, you've had to hear me probably with my voice sounding a little bit better, but really hitting hard on the fact that I'm passionate about what we do. Dennis and I have been around for 25 plus years doing long-term care, and we both had the privilege and pleasure to go out and not only train thousands of agents, but we've done a bunch of consumer seminars over the years too. I mean, literally I've probably done 100 of them. Dennis has done even more than that. So we've had the privilege of being in front of seniors in America and talking about the needs and educating about the needs for long-term care for a long time. And one of the weird things about this is that the stats never really change, right? When you look at it out there, we have a lot of gray hair in America, and we know that 70% of Americans are going to need some type of care once they hit age 65. And if you had married couples, it's pretty astounding the number of that'll need some type of care, especially when you're talking about short-term care. We'll talk a little bit about that, how the claims are easier to hit with short-term care and these home health care only products that we're talking about a lot with our short-term care initiative. But at the end of the day, that's what's important, is we have so many Americans are out there who need our help. And as far as a lot of our integrity partners selling Medicare or life products or the other types of products out there, whatever they may be, we know that whoever you're sitting across from, you don't have to take your blinders off. You can keep doing what you're doing every day and then just finish each sale with a real simple concept. And we'll show you this as we get into our sales seminars about the fact that all you have to do is start the conversation. And you know what? We're building up to what we call like a perfect storm in this industry right now. And we'll talk about this in my intro today, because it's never been more important than it is now. Because now with COVID, you can see that last stat there's kind of a scary one. But at the end of the day, COVID, when people got locked in those facilities and they were dying left and right, it was a scary time in America for everybody. And it's certainly for people who have family members, friends, and relatives who are sitting in these nursing homes, feeling literally locked away from the world, wondering where, what's going to happen to them. And it turned out, you can see those stats there, people were like deathly afraid to go into nursing homes. So it's lucky when we talk about extended care and short-term care, we do talk about the fact that we're not selling nursing home insurance. It's part of what we sell. It's part of what we add for protection for people, because we know there's, 26,000 nursing homes in the US, and they're certainly not empty. We know people go into nursing homes and need them. But by and large, what we sell is opportunities for people to stay out of that nursing home as long as possible, right? So all this stuff is simple. And even if you're not in the long-term care industry, most of it makes sense. Because one of the things we talk about all the time is with extended care, and that's kind of our broad term usage we use when it's Long-Term Care Awareness Month, but we talk about extended care because it nowadays really includes a lot of short-term care things. It includes a lot of home health care only plans, et cetera. So long-term care is a standard that we bear here. And if you know GoldenCare, we helped develop that Mutual of Omaha plan that's the #1 selling long-term care plan in the country. And we're proud of that because that plan is very well leveraged. And if you're healthy enough to get it, it's a very solid plan for people. It gives them a lot of options. But at the end of the day is, no matter what you sell people, you can help them. And that's the key that we want to show you guys as we go through and start these seminar series. And as we start teaching you more about the need for long-term care, because, remember on that previous slide, we talked about the fact that 90% of people never had a serious conversation about it. They just, they all put it off. And it's one of those things that I talked to Dennis this morning when we were getting ready for this webinar, and I was talking about all weekend, it was eating at me because we've both been doing this so long. And when we talk about LTC awareness, I start to wonder if we become complacent or sometimes even apathetic, where for years, my brother Mark, if any of you knew him, he's passed away now, but he worked side by side with me for years in this industry, and he was really a student of the game. He understood Medicare and Medicaid better than anybody out there, I believe, in the country. He was definitely in the top 10. He was very, very strong. And Dennis has become a student like I have as understanding what's going on in America in the senior market, because we've been up to our neck in it for so many years. And at the end of the day, when you see the slide staring at you where you're saying, where are you going with this, Tom? I want to show you that we use these same slides with different numbers in there 25 years ago. I mean, literally, we go out in consumer seminars and say, boy, there's a lot of gray hair in America, and you wait for those baby boomers. And everything was always based on, and a lot of you on this call, I bet you will agree with me, you always hear that word 20,000 or 2030. Boy, in 2030, we're in trouble. Boy, in 2030, we're in big trouble. 2030 is when everything falls apart. At the end of the day, I kind of looked at it thinking, how weird is that when we talk about the aging of America, we said these same slides over and over again. We use different numbers, but when you look at America, in the year 2030, it's right around the bend, isn't it? I mean, we're looking at it going, man, you know what? That date that we used to talk about that seemed a lifetime away, now when I'm sitting here in the same office chair going, you know what? I'm getting older, and you know what? So is America. Look at these stats. 54.1 million Americans are over 65 today. And remember, that's a big number. People don't think about it. They take it for granted. They don't really realize what this means in macroeconomics. But I tell you, at the end of the day, there's only 38.2 million people in all of Canada total, the whole population. So we have a lot of gray hair in America, and you know what? It's going up. 10,000 people plus are turning 60, 65 or 70 every day. Those are those baby boomers, right? We all know by 2030, all those baby boomers are going to be 65 years old plus, 66 to 84. So we know that's that big boom, right? You know, remember all those, there's 73 million baby boomers alive right now. So we know there's a big number of people who are going to be needing help. And think about what that means. In 2030, there are 84. What's that 84 age we hear a lot about? Boy, that's when most people start going on claim, right? 80 to 84 is that scary time where we start seeing people need these policies left and right. Now, if you're looking at the number of baby boomers in there, adding in to the number of people 65 plus, look at that next stat. And I'm not going to beat you up with stats all day. I just want to show you that we do have to realize the facts don't lie, and logic does rule the day, right? Over 70 million seniors by the year 2030 is the estimates, right? Now, think about the fact that lucky we're not selling nursing home insurance, right? Because if we built two facilities, let's call it assisted livings and nursing homes, okay? Right now, there's 26,500 nursing homes about in America. There's about 28,000 assisted livings out there, different types of senior facilities, a little bit more than that. But at the end of the day, if you look at that 54.1 million seniors jumping up to 70 million, and then realize that people are turning, those boomers are turning age 84, so they're going to start needing care. And again, lucky we're not selling nursing home insurance, because you look at that stat there. If we built nursing home or even assisted living, whatever you want to look at, if we built two of them every single day in America from now until the year 2030, and we had 196 beds in each one of those that we built, guess what? We wouldn't even cover probably half of the potential need, right? That's 1 million beds. That's 1 million beds, you guys. So right now we know there's 2 million folks sitting out there, about 1.4 million is in a nursing home, and about 1 million in assisted livings, et cetera. So when you look at that, that's pretty astounding, considering if you start doing the math, go ahead and Google it and find out how many beds are how many nursing homes are people building in different states at any given time. Not very many, right? There's some assisted livings going up, but nursing homes are losing money left and right. And they're losing money because we've got a problem with the budgeting, don't we? And again, I won't be on my soapbox all day here, but I want to make sure you see the reason we're doing what we do, and there's reason there are nerds like me out there who are all really passionate about this, is that when you look at the overall picture, we're in trouble. I mean, we're in trouble in America. The General Accounting Office says there's probably about $100 trillion, depending on what stat you look at. These are all over the place, but $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities out there. You look at Medicare, number 2 in the country as far as costs, right behind Social Security, right? Number 2 out there is Medicare with $747 billion right now in the budget. that's being spent in the last 2022 for 65 million folks who are enrolled. 57 of them are seniors. And that's a huge part of that unfunded liabilities, obviously, is that we see there for the GAO. Medicaid right behind it. Remember, Medicare is kind of the senior health care for seniors, right? Once you're 65, we all know that. Most of you on this call are experts in it. But Medicaid, remember what Medicaid is. Medicaid is that welfare program, any way you slice it. There's 89.4 million people enrolled in Medicaid right now. There's about 728 billion spent in 21. Okay, and excuse me, if you remember, Medicaid is a program that's split between the federal and state governments. Right now, because of COVID, it's a little leaning more towards federal, 69%, 31% come out of the state coffers. And that's shifting a little bit. You're going to see some of this federal programs that leaned heavily on giving extra money for Medicaid is going to balance out. So I don't mean to bore you with it, but at the end of the day is logic rules the day, right? States are panicking. These are about 28 to 33% of their state budgets on average. 28%, I think, is the average overall in this country, is going towards Medicaid budgets. And their costs are increasing by 10% per year because of healthcare costs. Remember, the overall healthcare costs in America is over $4 trillion right now. It's going to be about $6.8 trillion by 2030. So we're spending a lot of money on healthcare in general, and Medicaid and Medicare are a huge part of it. So the problem with Medicaid budgets is everybody looks at it now, and you have Steve Moses, who does a great job out there saying he's been doing this for longer than I've been around, talking about how to save Medicaid, how to go in there and say, stop giving it away to everybody, having it as an entitlement mentality. And Steve had great ideas 20 years ago, and he's still trying to get it through, and he's done a bang up job of doing his best to educate people, but we just can't get the government to move. Everybody wants to get reelected. So when you talk about the fact that we're sitting here in a socioeconomic situation where it's very political economic, right? I was a political science and economics major in college. And any way you slice it, you don't have to talk whether you're Republican, Democrat, or anywhere in between. But we do have decisions that are being made on a political level that are affecting our economics in the country. And it's causing harm on both sides because nobody dares make any pertinent moves that really could save these programs. So again, getting off that soapbox, at the end of the day, I'm boring you to tears, but we have a real problem. We have a problem that we need people like you to go out and tell these seniors, what's going to happen when all of a sudden Medicaid budgets get so tight, the states start making drastic moves. We saw Washington State to start doing some things. There's a lot of different things that states are starting to panic, and they're going to come out with new taxes, or they're going to come out with ways to say, if Americans don't take care of themselves, we got to go the other way. And no matter what happens, when I say the other way, don't ever forget, this is what I do for a living. Dennis, be honest, right beside me with his torch and pitchfork. At the end of the day, if we don't have people take care of themselves, there's going to be problems. But even if we do a bang up job of that, we're not going to get enough people to take care of themselves. So what we're doing is we're being partial to the people we do protect. In these next 8 years or so, when people starting to panic, you're going to have people who are going to come out of the woodwork looking for help. They're going to come out of the woodwork looking for a policy, because if you start looking at what's on your screen right there, guess what? Most of the time, we're going to have problems with finding good care for people. And if you rely on the government, what's happening to Medicare budgets? They're skyrocketing so much that the per usage per person becomes pretty crappy. It's why all these nursing homes are losing money. It's why all these home health care agencies are panicking. They need private care. They need private pay. And if you're smart, and if you have loved ones, and if other people have loved ones, they sell them. Why don't you get in a private pay? Because it's going to do so many nice things for you, because you're going to get better care. You're going to have the ability not to get kicked out of that nursing home when they start running out of room and getting moved to a different state, because of the fact that you had private care starting and you could go in there and have some help and options for you. So again, we're only spending so much time on this today, and we don't do this during our regular webinars. And I know some of you are cringing at all these stats thrown at you, but at the end of the day, I wanted you to know there's a method to our madness. There's a reason that we're out there saying you have to go out and offer people some protection. And there's lots of ways to do it. We have traditional long-term care insurance out there with Mutual of Omaha, NGL, Thrivent. These are the old traditional long-term care insurance products that some of you know of and some of you sell. On top of that, we have hybrid and link products out there. Some great companies like One American, Nationwide, Securian. These obviously aren't exhaustive lists. There's other products. I'm just giving you some examples. And then the products that we talk about in our short-term care initiative over this next couple months, when we really hit all these different trainings I'm going to show you about today, these are the products that we have out there for the comprehensive short-term care. And we're going to see a shifting industry I'm going to talk about in a second, that these products work so well with what most Americans need today. And it's the best way to go out there, especially if you're selling other peripheral products or other base products like med subs or life insurance. These are the type of products that are going to do wonders for your clients, and you're going to have people loving you, and you're going to have persistency stick on the books because people are going to have you as a trusted advocate for not just life insurance and not just Medicare. They're going to look at you and say, wow, this advisor, this agent really is watching my back. They've really helped me out. This is something that I really appreciate. And you'll be surprised how many referrals you can get from this as well. Okay. So comprehensive short-term care with Manhattan, we have our Omniflex product. These are all Integrity exclusive plans, by the way, the WellBe and the GTL. Aetna is not a total overall exclusive, but we do have it available that some of you are aware of. They're Aetna Recovery Care. And then for the people who are a little bit sicker or the people who choose the affordability of it or just want to have home health care only plans, we've got some great home health care only options as well. We have GTL's home health care plan that's really strong. Manhattan's home health care select that's very strong. These are home health care only plans, but the nice part about them, very wide underwriting that we can cover just about anybody you're talking to. And we have a non-insurance plan on there, as you see at the bottom, True Freedom home health care plans, home care plans. And with these, they're non-medical home care plans that are prepaid kind of home care services, and they're tremendous. And the nice part about it, you'll hear me say it over and over again if you've been on my webinars, whether I can speak well or not during them, I talk about the fact that one of the biggest abilities of these plans is their availability, right? We want these plans to have something available for your folks. And the coolest thing about True Freedom is, with a lot of these plans, the traditional home care and the hybrid plans are everywhere, basically, besides maybe a couple states and some examples. But the short-term care plans, some of the states get nervous and they try to, quote unquote, protect their consumers. So they don't allow these comprehensive short-term care or the home health care only plans. So that's why True Freedom is so strong. It's not only a strong plan in and of its own, but it's a great opportunity for you to look at anybody across the table or across the internet and know that it's in all 50 states. We've got something that can help them, and it's a super well leveraged plan. So not on my True Freedom kick today, but I want to make sure you know you're going to have opportunities to hear about that and put that in your portfolio so you can help basically anybody you're talking to. Okay. Excuse me. And as we get into the shifting market, this is one of the things you notice we have this called our short-term care initiative for integrity. And the reason we did that is quite simple, is that we obviously at GoldenCare and some of the other big agencies out there sell a lot of long-term care as well. But even then, the long-term care market is shifting quite a bit, right? We saw these policies out there that people were selling for years and years. We've got big rate increases on some of those legacy blocks of business because people were selling 5% compound inflation and unlimited plans out there that had some of these huge claims that went through the roof, and it ended up causing these companies to have pretty significant rate increases. But more importantly, they got smart. They've been around a long time. These plans are so well leveraged that the way the long-term care market looked at it, saying, hey, if we're selling 3 or 4 or 5 year plans, we got to really go through some deep underwriting because we're still paying out a ton of money for those type of plans. So what they did is they kind of put themselves in the boat of saying, we're going to start charging quite a bit for it, and we're going to have our underwriting be pretty stringent. So if you're in the long-term care market, it's great, except you need to have a presentation or a method to your madness to only put your healthiest people and maybe your younger people in long-term care more often. And when you get into the 65 plus market, you have so many declines out there with long-term care that it becomes a little bit disheartening. So what we found is that a lot of times we'll move over and move into some of these other products that we have in our short-term care initiative. So Dennis, I do see you popped in there. If you can jump on, we're more than welcome.
Hey Tom, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. You're a little bit quiet, but go ahead. Yep.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I had some problems with my computer this morning.
Okay. Yeah. And I knew that you were trying to get on. I don't know if you got to sit through like these folks, how pulled their hair out and half of them went to sleep probably because I was giving kind of my long-winded introduction, like we talked about this morning, talking about just the overall need and the logic behind these
Right.
next years.
Yeah, no, I heard all of it. It was, I think that shifting market, I think it's, what we're seeing today is the consumers and agents have been aligned together, asking really for the same thing. They want to have products that enable people to get approved. So less underwriting is preferable, less moving parts. Not to say that the traditional long-term care that you mentioned and the hybrids, all great solutions, but as we get into the upper age market, we know that if we can simplify the offering, it's even better. And also we know that these products traditionally, especially as people wait to purchase, affordability becomes a factor, as you said. So the idea of having something that's less expensive is important. I want to come back to something you said, Tom, earlier about when you were talking about the logic rules of the day and about the Medicare market. If you look at long-term care facilities, assisted living, home care, that's a $490 billion market that's going to continue to increase at a growth rate of over 6% a year until 2030. That magic number that you talked about, where basically the train comes off the tracks, and so it is a huge marketplace, and we do have the opportunity to actually tell the story. And here you have the claim data in front of you. So I just wanted to jump in and just share a few of those thoughts. And you're doing, this is so important with Long-Term Care Awareness Month that we just basically set the stage for the rest of the series that we're going to be doing throughout November and through up to about the middle of December.
You bet. You bet. Dennis, thanks for jumping on. You can jump back in a second here. This slide is probably new to you because I just threw it up there just to throw more numbers at you and confuse your morning as the attendees. But all I wanted to show you with this is, remember, these are long-term care insurance claims, so they're different. Long-term care insurance, remember, you have to have 2 of 6 ADLs or cognitive impairment, and you have to have it with a doctor saying you'll need it for at least 90 days. So it's a little bit more limiting, but even with those claims, if you look at the stats on the left-hand side, and you don't have to really study them, I'm just showing you that people get in their head long-term care insurance must pay for those 8-10 year claims all the time. And in reality, there are some big claims that come through with Alzheimer's, et cetera, and some of the claims that drag on. And those are part of the reason, their best quality is sometimes their worst quality, because it got the companies in trouble because of the fact that they had these huge claims, and it ended up making them raise rates across the board and make it more affordable make it more attainable for more people because the costs had to be up there. So long story short, what I want to tell you is this is long-term care claims. And you can see there's a lot of under 1 year or 1 to 2 year claims on there. If you look at the stats on the left-hand side, and we saw on the right-hand side there just shows you that most claims do start at home, as we know. So this is just a way of leading in to say, remember, that's why these short-term care policies and the home health care only plans that we're showing you are so strong. And they're such a good fix for so many people because of the fact that, I'm almost going to cough there, that with the triggers for long-term care, you need that 90-day certification. And without that 90-day certification, because with short-term care, it just says you need 2 of 6, help with 2 of 6 ADLs, activities of daily living like bathing, dressing, etc. You can have claims for things that are much more common, right? Things like knee replacement, osteo, cardiac arrest, bypass surgery, hip replacements, fractures, motor vehicle accidents, etc. Those are a lot of things that you just don't see long-term care step into, but with these short-term care claims, you do see it come in quite a bit. So that's why I want you to feel comfortable about the fact that we have good policies for you that are really going to help the majority of people that you need to hit. Because don't kid yourselves, when you go on claim and when you get these coverages, there's the stats are out there saying 3 out of 5 individual bankruptcies in America are caused by medical costs, and most of those people have insurance. So it's these weird type of costs that people don't count on. Like I missed work. I ended up having to have family travel, or I ended up having to have hotel costs or recovery costs or changes at home. All these different things, especially when it comes to custodial care, those are the things that cause bankruptcies. And those are the things that surprisingly you can sell very robust plans with a short-term care plan. We talk about the fact you can sell $1 million plan. So you can sell huge plans that'll do some unbelievably great things at the short-term care level. But at the same token, you can lower them down and sell nice, super, super affordable plans to anybody you're sitting in front of. And you can find that comfort zone where they're going to buy a policy that's going to help them stay out of that nursing home or help them have better home care. And it's going to be a huge peace of mind for your clients, and it's going to end up doing some great things for your policyholders. So we'll get into that as we get into more of the training. But Dennis, if you can still get on here, I'd love for you to handle this little quick product availability, and then maybe we'll jump out to the website and show them some of our tools.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And unlike some of the other solutions that we talked about at the very start, that Tom shared kind of the landscape, if you will, of both the long-term care and short-term care. And short-term care is just a technicality as far as the name. We like to call it extended care. Some call it alternate care. But you can see here on the map with GTL has been one of the longtime leaders in many areas of ancillary products, and in particular with the Recover Cash. They're in about 37 states. Omniflex is right behind with 32. We're working hard to get additional states. And as Tom said before, Wallaby is a late entry as of August 19th, and so therefore only 10 states, with more to come in 2024. So you can see the map here, and the extended care products do have, the most we're probably going to get to is what you see with GTL, about 37 on number of states. It's just because California and New York, and that's why Tom alluded to other alternative products like True Freedom that is in all 50 states, because we're in the problem solving business, and we want to make sure that we can solve problems across the board. And on the home care side, same situation. That stat that he talked about as far as less than 1 year, a lot of times people do wait way too long, and maybe they can't even get an extended care plan. And you're going to see with this webinar series that we'll have topics that will be covering the standalone home health care options, as well as covering the extended care. In addition, we're obviously going to be giving you all the blocking and tackling methodology to how to tackle this particular market. But you can see here again with GTL, about mid-30s. Manhattan just came out with the new Home Healthcare Select. There's still some legacy states down there: Colorado, Hawaii, Kansas, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, that have yet to come, that are in the previous version. And again, back to the True Freedom, so you can begin to see a little crossover too, where maybe Manhattan is somewhere where the other carriers aren't. And again, you need to have solutions to fit every need. The nice thing is when we get into the actual webinar training of these products, you'll just see how we cast the net even wider as far as acceptance, and how we can actually place about 99% of the individuals if they're in one of those particular states. And of course, if they're not, then that True Freedom comes into play as well. And so that's a little bit of an overview of the map availability. And now when we're talking about what's going on, we've got tools and resources that we're making available to you as partners, that you can make available to your particular agents, that are ways by which you can drive awareness to the various campaigns. All of this will actually be on a site that we're going to show you here very shortly.
Right. Sorry to jump in, Dennis. Instead of going through and showing you on this slide presentation here, that we do talk about, like Dennis was saying, recruiting, and I pushed escape, so I'll just jump out of it now. But we do have all these webinars and everything that I'm going to show you. We're just going to go right to the site, Dennis. I think is smarter. And we can go through this site. And this is our Integrity Short-Term Care site. And this is kind of our standby where you're going to be able to go to. We don't throw you out of the plane without a parachute. We want to make sure as we go through and do some of this training that we're going to have all the different tools you need to be successful, okay? So before we can go deep into this, I am going to show you really quick that we have a lot of events coming up here on our calendar. And these are all Central Daylight Time, but not that you have to take notes on this now because you can get access to this calendar. But you can see today is our first one of our new batch. We did 35 or so previously, and now we're moving into the next batch of webinars. And again, I don't know if you can read all this here, but it's short-term care awareness. We've got the Omniflex short-term care, the short-term care e-apps. And again, I'm not going to read all these to you, so don't worry about that part of it. But I just wanted to show you. Look at how busy this webinar schedule is. And again, I'm on a webinar, so everything takes a little bit longer. You probably can't read this real well, but you can see basically it's fun to do product webinars, but it's more fun. And even some of these overview webinars talking about the method or madness is fine. But where we really shine and where we really think it's beneficial for you is on our sales webinars. So we have a lot about talking about starting the conversation, how to go in there and answer objections, how to go in and learn about all the different products, but also how to establish the why and can your clients self-insure and overcoming the objections again. So again, I'm kind of babbling on here, reading some of these different plan choices. And as you go in here, you can see there'll be a little bit of definition of what the actual courses are about. But if you want to learn about short-term care and how to help people, we've got the tools there to really help you do that. And Dennis, I know I did the majority of the talking earlier. So if you want to go through here, just tell me where you want me to jump to, and I'll jump around in this site if you'd like.
I think the key is, we want to have one site where it's a resource so that your agents can feel comfortable. And we know that you obviously have a lot of resources on your own individual partner websites that agents who are on this call can go to. We're not trying to replace any of that. We're just trying to augment it with the ability to know that instead of having to get a bunch of PDFs when it comes to the various products, that you have the abilities to go to one place. And so short-term care initiative, these are all the integrity sponsored products, the home care down there as well. Don, if you go back to the sales and marketing, by the way, if you clicked on any of those, you'd learn more. Or InstaPivot, you're going to have a great opportunity to learn a little bit about this underwriting tool that we have. But everything about the product, if you click on it, you'll be able to see the state map. You'll be able to see the highlights. Everything is right there for any of the agents who are on this call to be able to go and find. And we want to make it easy for our partners to know that their agents can get access. The InstaPivot is we'll have a special dedicated webinar just showing you how to use this underwriting tool. We won't get into it today on this call in the interest of time, but you're going to love the ability to know that we can help you to segment the market and determine where to go based on pre-screening from a health standpoint and also from a state availability standpoint. And so the sales and marketing, everything we do is recorded. So everything that you're seeing today, we will have this recorded. We give you a little bit of the statistics there, some thoughts that Tom has, some thoughts I have, how to allow you to go to this library, if you will. And even on previous webinars, as many of you know, who are back on this webinar series, we did 25 days, and they're all recorded. And so you can go back and look at any of those recordings, and some are full webinar recordings. We also do have some shorter formats that are available as well.
Yep, down here, Dennis does a great job. That was all up here underneath the full webinar showcase that you can find here. You can do it a drop down here and listen to them. These again are the full webinars that we gave. There are fast pack videos that'll talk about some different things on different products. And you're going to see this is a living, breathing site that we're going to have more and more stuff added to all the time. But if you want to have the fast facts videos here, the InstaPivot tool that we talked about, another way to get to that. And then we go down here with the different marketing assets for different things. If you want to get agents involved and if you have a downline, or if you have consumers, we have a full info pack available that we'll obviously expand on as well in the future. And then down here are some more informative videos. Some of these are called fireside chats with Dennis or sales strategies. And they're just some different things that Dennis gets in and talks about using his years and years of experience and working with literally hundreds of thousands of agents over time, that he's just done a great job of putting together some of his knowledge to help you out even further. So lots of good things in here. Again, we're getting on to our 38-minute mark here, so I won't bore you with the InstaPivot totally on this one, but I tell you what, this tool is really powerful for the fact that if you want to dive in a little deeper and figure out exactly what plans are available without having to open different underwriting guides or anything like that, it's a very simple way to do that. Every single question you'd ever see on any of these applications are in here, and you can go in there and type them in by subject word, and you can go very quickly and find out what kind of policies will cover for you. You don't have to use that, by the way. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Tom, you don't have to wait till we actually do a InstaPivot webinar. Back on the area, several different places on the site, you can click to register. There's no cost and for the InstaPivot, but you do have to register to get access. And again, we'll be going through a separate demo, a dedicated demo, but it is it's pretty intuitive and pretty easy. Even if you register now because you want to take a sneak peek. There is no side-by-side. I think Mark was asking if there's side-by-side comparisons. There's the side-by-side comparisons as it relates to the underwriting, but this is not a pricing comparison, as we have other sales tools that are available for that, which is a program called StraDecision. And Tom, I think we're giving access to that as well, aren't we?
Right. Yep. If you go to the same spot where you go to sign up for the InstaPivot tool, you're going to see that there's StraDecision as well. And as long as you're one of our integrity partners, or you're signed up to sell under GoldenCare, whichever the case may be, but the partners, you're more than welcome to go ahead and use our StraDecision as well. So we want to do our best to help them.
Not to make a commercial about the value, but StraDecision does cost literally about $500-$600 for the average, for just the base membership. And we have the master membership with them that allows you to get it for free. But there is a cost if you actually had to go out and do it yourself. Same thing with InstaPivot. We chose not to. That's something that was developed, and we'll get into more of that story later. But that would be a subscription service that, if you were to have access to something like that, you normally have to pay for. And part of it, as you know, with integrity is big, whether it's Medicare Center or whether it's Ask Integrity or any of the other programs about making a value add to the agents because of the relationship that our partners have with each one of you who are on this call. So this is something that we're also following suit on. But all of this is kind of setting the stage for this November Long-Term Care Awareness Month, and we wanted to make sure that we gave you this overview to kind of start the process so that we can get you leaning in and thinking about that schedule and again, what topics you want to hear about. So we hope that you're going to join us on multiple opportunities. It's going to be a busy time. I think, Tom, it's nearly 50 webinars and what, 30 some odd days?
Yeah, I can't remember the numbers now because we're working overtime doing our best to support you guys. I think it is literally 48 or 50 webinars in 38 days or something like that, 38 business days or something. So we're going to be there for you. And like I said, we'll have all of them recorded. And if you can't spend every day on a webinar, obviously, but we're going to have a lot of tools for you to go back to and do your best. So the number one thing we need you guys to do is, number one, forgive me for my coughing in your ear. Number two, forgive me for going on my soapbox for so long at the beginning of this, but I do know it's so important, you guys. It'll help you with your persistency with your clients. It'll help you with building better relationship with your clients, and it'll make you some terrific money. Truthfully, these are really well-paid plans, so they're going to help you out in your pocketbook because it's not a hobby. So the big thing is we have so many Americans who need help, and this is your way to go out there and just really, really simply, when you go on our sales trainings, you'll hopefully be pleasantly surprised how easy it is to start the conversation. So your next step is up to you. Contact your marketer, make sure you're appointed with these carriers, tell them it's the Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative, and they should be able to help you out and get you started and get you appointed if you're not already. So that being said, this is Tom Randall. And again, for Dennis, thank you so much for jumping on today, spending time with us, and hopefully we'll see you on another webinar soon. Okay, thanks everybody. Dennis.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.
Have a great day.
The next step is yours. Contact your marketer for more information and to start offering short-term care solutions to your clients. And be sure to sign up for our other short-term care hot topic webinars.